This village stands very close to the forest. To the left of the ravines behind them is a river, a very beautiful place. No wonder people chose this beauty when they settled here. This extraordinary story happened here in a small village of 50 houses. In this village lives a family, Semyon, his wife Maria and son Paul. The son was only 5 years old when his father brought a puppy from the forest, an almost blind wolf cub. Although it was small at all, it was already biting and scratching. Apparently the instincts were already working. So they grew together, Paul and the wolf cub. As you don't pass by their house, Paul always plays with a wolf in the yard, trains him like a little dog. There was something for the kid to do. They called the wolf cub Fong. Time passed and the wolf cub grew. A large strong wolf was now sitting on a chain. He was never allowed to run around the village as they did with dogs. Dogs also did not bark at him for a long time, apparently accustomed to his presence. Paul still continued to play and feed with him. Winter came. Paul was in first grade with 5s and 4s. He also played with his wolf in his free time. And everything would be fine, only I began to hear howling wolves from the side of the forest at night. And once the Fong disappeared. How he could get rid of, only God knows. Paul warmed up, but life goes on. The father promised to bring the puppy a shepherd. It's also good and the shepherd trained well. 2 years have passed. Paul was now training the count. He was now studying in the 3rd grade. Well, a little worse, troches began to appear. That day, he sledged in the enemy. His father made excellent strong sledges for Paul. Now Paul could not roll everything, you could not drive home. It was already beginning to get dark and Paul decided once again to go to the ravine and go home. He took the rope tied to the sled and already wanted to climb up from the ravine, as he noticed, like shadows flashed at the top of the ravine. Paul took a closer look and saw several gray faces. These were wolves, real hungry wolves. They were waiting for him upstairs. Paul was so scared that he could not move. He stood at the bottom of the ravine, not daring to rise. At the top, here and there, wolf-bared muzzle peeps out. It will soon darken and then the end. The wolves will surely wait for the darkness and they will not let it out now. When his parents are still enough. Paul was trembling with fear and cold. Raw pants and coats now became icy and did not bend. And it's not far from the village. He can scream, let someone hear, but Paul did not dare to shout, did not want to annoy the wolves. Suddenly they rush at him. The roar of one of the wolves was heard upstairs. Paul looked and saw a huge wolf with a bared face. Apparently it was the leader of the pack. The leader was ready to jump. It was visible from him that another second and he would jump from above onto Paul. Paul cried like never before. He felt so sorry for himself and his mother and father too, that he simply burst into tears. Paul saw a huge wolf approaching him in great leaps. The boy closed his eyes in preparation for the worst, but nothing happened. Paul opened his eyes and saw him. Yes, it was a Fong. Fong. Paul joyfully cried out, "My Fong!" Above the wolves whined for impatience to try hot blood. Fong turned his face up and snarled, then raised his face to the sky and howled. Now the leader began to go up, periodically looking at Paul, as if telling him to follow me. Do not be afraid. Paul obediently climbed the wolf. The leader was the first to get out of the ravine and with an evil growl drove the 3 wolves to a safe distance. Paul made his way through the snowdrifts towards the village under the scrutiny of the leader. Paul safely returned home and told his parents everything. It would be better if he did not. Oh, and he got it from his parents.